funny. Get ready. What is this stuff?
That's poop.
For a major ocean picture. Moment of silence for them. And we keep it moving. Surf's Up. You're going to want to watch it over and over. Can I get in line now to see it? Rated PG.
So this was Sony Pictures Animation's second big feature that they had made after Open Season was the big hit in the fall. This one was not as successful financially, but I thought it was actually a whole lot better than Open Season was. This film is actually a lot better than I think a lot of people gave it credit for. Because, like I said, I've said before, this was around that time when, they were making Penguin movies because of the success of, March of the Penguins and Happy Feet and of course, the Madagascar Penguins. I mean, there was a lot of Penguin movies that came out around this time period, and most of them were pretty good. This one in particular, I think, really is very much one of the more underrated movies that they've done. And this film follows a teenage rock hopper penguin named Cody Maverick, played by Shia LaBeouf, from his hometown of Shiverpool, Antarctica, where all the other penguins think he's nothing but a surfing fool, to the Big Z Memorial Surf-Off at Pengu Island. Young Cody is determined to win the most important competition in the world of penguin surfing in honor of Big Z, a deceased surfer legend whom he'd idolized in childhood. But the waves in Pengu are different than in Shiverpool, and the competition is steep. The current champ, egotistical Tank Evans, played by Diedrich Bader, isn't just about to let this little penguin knock him from first place without a fight. When Cody wipes out and encounters Geek, played by Jeff Bridges, a recluse, aging former surfer living in the jungle, he learns something important lessons about life and surfing, and even teaches Geek a thing or two. And like I said before, this is such a really good movie, and it's an extremely underrated film that Sony Pictures Animation did. Shia LaBeouf, I thought, was very good in the movie. This was a very big year for him, of course, with Disturbia coming out a couple weeks before this. And, he really makes this penguin very likable. He's very charismatic, and it does show what the range he has as an actor in here. You've also got a great voice cast. It also includes Zooey Deschanel and James Woods. John Heder plays this chicken friend of Cody's, who is very fun in the film as well. And Jeff Bridges as a Geek in here, which you do find out who eventually he is. And if you could put the pieces together there, you probably can figure out who he really is. But he plays this role like the dude from The Big Lebowski. I mean, he's literally the dude from The Big Lebowski, and it's just so hilarious to hear that voice coming out of this bloated penguin character that literally looks like the dude if he was a penguin, and it's just so perfectly put together here. It's a brilliant casting choice, and you got a lot of good humor in here, a good little story about, how far do you want to go with your dreams, but you have to realize that there's more to that than just following your dreams and all that. Like I said, a great star-studded voice cast, a really good story, a great animation, really good humor all across the board. Such a great movie that does not get the proper attention it deserves. It definitely deserves to be watched. Watch this movie, Surf's Up. It's definitely one of Sony's Animation's best movies that was very underrated. I would also say avoid the WWE sequel they made almost 10 years later, because when I think of this movie, Surf's Up, the first thing I think of, WWE, because why not? Why not have them in there? I have never seen it, nor do I plan on seeing it, because, that's just not my thing. Although I did watch the Jetsons WWE movie that came out the exact same year, but we'll save that for another time. But in the meantime, Surf's Up, great movie, one that definitely needs to be checked out.
Help people with my music.
Like your family?
No. The guy who brought you Talladega Nights, Knocked Up, and Superbad. Invite you to meet Dewey Cox. Walk hard. Hard. It's the devil's music. This holiday season, there's a rift between the Beatles. I've got a song about an octopus. I like the little one. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Rated R.
I think their first mistake was releasing this on Christmas weekend. It's an R-rated comedy. Yeah, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to squeeze this in with, when some of the other big musical biopics they're satirizing came out. Ray, Walk the Line, those type of films. And I get the idea, but yeah, you usually do not open R-rated comedies like this on Christmas weekend. You don't usually open R-rated mainstream films like this on Christmas weekend unless you're an Oscar contender. Because just like with this movie, it didn't do very well. It bombed pretty hard at the box office, but it was a hit with critics, and it did eventually go on to have a cult following, which I could say thank God for that, man, because yeah, this film definitely deserves every bit of it. As I said before, this is a parody of the musical biopic genre, where Walk Hard is the story of a fictional early rock and roll star named Dewey Cox, played by John C. Reilly, and it references mostly Ray and Walk the Line, but it also references the careers of Ray Charles and Johnny Cash, along with a lot of other musical talents: Roy Orbison, Glenn Campbell, Bob Dylan, Jerry Lee Lewis, John Lennon, James Brown, Neil Diamond, Hank Williams, Brian Wilson. There's fictional versions of everybody from the Beatles to the Big Bopper to Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley played by Jack White, and the Beatles played by some regulars of the Judd Apatow crew: Jack Black, Jason Schwartzman, Paul Rudd. You have people playing themselves in this movie: Eddie Vedder, Joe, Ghostface Killer, a lot of parodies and celebrity cameos all across the film. And it's a great film, man. It's a film that was not the big, like I said, it wasn't the biggest hit of the Judd Apatow streak that he had going as a producer and as a director as well, because, excuse me, of course, this was around the time when he was making all these movies and they were becoming big hits overall. And yeah, this one is the least popular of the ones, unfortunately, that was not the big hit at the box office, but it worked because it works. It works. If this had been released on another weekend besides Christmas, I think this film would have been the big blockbuster hit that something like Talladega Nights and Superbad were, but this movie really is one of the best films Apatow has produced. John C. Reilly is at his comedic and musical best, and I mean musical best, because the songs in this movie are so damn good. They are so catchy and so memorable. The last song of the movie, where it's culminating everything that was going on in Dewey Cox's life, is a pitch-perfect way for this film to end. It's a song that once in a while I'll pop it on, because it's just one of those songs that I have to listen to it every once in a while. It's that good of a song. And you know, like with a movie like Fanboys, which was supposed to be released around this time, but came out a few years later, it offers a lot of great cameos, great comedy, pretty fun acting all across the board, a lot of really good music. It's just a masterpiece of a comedy. It's a fun parody. It's a well-made film. It shows what John C. Reilly can do as the star of the film. I think this was another one of those movies where Will Ferrell was supposed to be the star of it, but like with Hot Rod, he just wasn't right for the role, and they thought that he couldn't sing in this movie, which, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it worked out in favor for John C. Reilly, because it did show that, hey, he's not just a good dramatic actor, he could be a very funny comedic actor, and this definitely shows what he's capable of in a leading comedic role. And this is just not much more I can say about this movie, man, except definitely check this one out. If you love the 40-Year-Old Virgin, Talladega Nights, Knocked Up, Superbad, you gotta see this movie, because it's more than worth it. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, definitely check it out. It's probably my favorite film of the entire weekend, outside of Charlie Wilson's War.
I can't imagine what you're going to do without each other. Evan told me you didn't get into Dartmouth.
Yeah, I'm going to cry myself to sleep every night.
Me too. Go to school, boys.
Bye. Take care of those.
From the guys who brought you the 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up.
Get my brand new ID.
Doesn't even have a first name. It just says
McLovin?
Yeah.
Great name. Sounds like a sexy hamburger.
On August 17th, after a lifetime of friendship.
We got into different schools.
Sucks.
It's not too bad. I mean, it should be okay. I'm not too worried about it. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried at all.
They've got one last chance
You know when you hear girls saying, oh, I shouldn't have slept with that guy. We could be that mistake.
to get it right.
You think I love you. I love you.
Why don't we say that every day?
I just want to scream, I love my best friend, Evan. Boop.
Superbad.
You're like the coolest person, and I blew it.
Come on, you didn't blow it.
Rated R. In theaters August.
That's a two-time Academy Award nominee knocking the shit out of a two-time Academy Award winner. Of course, that's Jonah Hill, who's actually been nominated for 2 Oscars for Moneyball and The Wolf of Wall Street, and Emma Stone, who's won 2 Oscars for her work in La La Land and most recently in Poor Things. Interesting to see how far they've come since then. Superbad, of course, is the film where you have Jonah Hill and Michael Cera as 2 teenagers. This is basically Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg putting themselves in the situation here. They're 2 teenagers about to graduate from high school, and before graduating, the boys want to party and lose their virginity. But their plan proves harder than expected, including having Christopher Mintz-Plasse as McLovin. they have that. They have two cops that are after them, Seth Rogen and Bill Hader playing the cops, and of course they want to get laid, and they have Emma Stone and Martha McIsaac as the two girls of their affections, and just chaos and hilarity ensues. I've been talking about One of Them Days recently because I just saw it this weekend, and this was another movie I should have brought up when I was talking about that movie because it feels very similar to that movie in particular, where it takes place over the course of one day and one night, actually, and you have these two best friends who are going off to college after this season, after this year, actually, but, their friendship is going to be tested going forward, and, they're in this situation here where they basically have to, get through this one night and, have the ultimate dreams before they go off to college, and that includes losing their virginity and all that stuff, and partying and doing stuff, and it's about as chaotic and fun as you can get, and it's a great, great movie, man. It's one of the best coming-of-age comedies you'll ever see because of all the performances, not just from Hill, Sarah Mintz-Plasse, and Emma Stone, but a great supporting cast that includes Rogen and Bill Hader as the cops. They are absolutely hilarious in here. A lot of really good talent all across the board here. It's a really funny movie, and it's a movie that has so many memorable quotes about it. Like, it's a movie that definitely deserves the lasting legacy that it has. I mean, that trailer alone had some great memorable moments from that movie, and it's very uplifting. It's a very fun coming-of-age story, and it also is very emotional, too, and very heartfelt. Like, you do buy Jonah Hill and Michael Cera as these two best friends, knowing that they're not going to spend too much time much longer, because not only are they going off to college, but they also want to get with these girls, and they want to start building a relationship together. And that's what the last scene of the movie, I think, does a very good job of handling. And it just works really well on a number of different levels. It's a very funny movie. It's a very clever film. It knows when it needs to be stupid. It knows when it needs to be heartfelt. It's a really, really funny comedy that just works on so many levels. Superbad is a classic film. What more can you say, man? It's a great movie. I can't recommend it enough. Superbad, great, great film.
Clayton is back in theaters, and now it has been nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture.
What if Arthur was onto something?
Best Screenplay and Director, Tony Gilroy.
We have a situation.
Best Actor, George Clooney.
They're gonna cut you off the knee.
Best Supporting Actor, Tom Wilkinson.
They killed the Michael.
Best Supporting Actress, Tilda Swinton. Critics are hailing it as the best picture of the year.
I look like I'm negotiating.
Michael Clayton, rated R, now playing in theaters, coming to DVD February 19th.
We finally found a good movie, ladies and gentlemen. It only took us 3 bad movies to get to it, but, yeah, this movie's pretty awesome. George Clooney plays Michael Clayton, a high-priced law firm fixer who leaves a late-night poker game, gets a call to drive to Westchester, and watches his car blow up as he's taking an impromptu dawn walk across the field. Flashback 4 days, he owns a little shark to cover his brother's debts. Michael's own gambling habits have left him virtually broke. His law firm is negotiating a high-stakes merger, and his firm's 6-year defense of a conglomerate's pesticide use is at risk when one of the firm's top litigators goes off his meds and puts the case in jeopardy. While Michael is trying to fix things, someone decides to kill him. Who? Meanwhile, his son summarizes the plot of a dark fantasy novel. Interesting little tidbit there. That's from IMDb. That's not me, but yeah, like I said, Michael Clayton is actually a pretty awesome movie. It's George Clooney doing what George Clooney does best. He's one of our great actors. He's got a great cast working around him. Tom Wilkinson, Tilda Swinton, which actually won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Sidney Pollack in one of his last movies he did before he passed away the following year. Michael O'Keefe, who I haven't seen in a long time, maybe not since Caddyshack. But he's in this movie, too, playing the other attorney at the firm that they're at. And he's actually really good, too. Everybody in here plays their parts very well. It's an engaging storyline here. It's a mystery that does keep you interested in what the direction is going to go with this movie in general. And Tony Gilroy definitely shows what he can do as a director on this film. This was his first film as a director, but then he followed it up with The Bourne Legacy, which that movie was already bad on its own levels. But we'll get to that one eventually. But here's what you can do with a here he gets to show what he can do as a director as a whole with this film. It's his first time directing a film, and he does a really good job at it too. It's a really impressively made film. It's a thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat. George Clooney once again is really good in this film, giving another strong performance. It's a terrific film. It's a film I highly recommend. It's one of the year's best films, easily. Michael Clayton, definitely check it out.
Prognosis, fertile myrtle. Minus or plus?
There it is.
little pink plus sign is so unholy.
That ain't no Etch-a-Sketch. This is one doodle that can't be undid, Holmes Gillett.
Just tell him. I'm pregnant.
Who was the father?
It's Polly Bleecker.
Polly Bleecker? I didn't think he had it in him.
I know, right?
Did you see that coming?
Yeah, but I was hoping she was expelled or into hard drugs.
Or DWI? Anything but this.
I could, have this baby and give it to someone that, totally needs it. You should look in the Penny Saver. They have ads for parents. Yeah, desperately seeking spawn. Hi, I'm Vanessa.
Hi, I'm the husband.
This, of course, is Juno.
Like the city in Alaska.
No. You're a part-time lover. I need to know that it's possible that two people can stay happy together forever.
The best thing you can do is find a person who loves you for exactly what you are.
Juno.
Speaking of movies that are able to take real-life situations and actually make something really cool and inventive with it, here's a movie that makes it funny in a very bizarre way and makes it work very well. This is a coming-of-age dramedy in which you have Ellen Page, who is now, of course, Elliot Page, but this was back when she was a woman. She stars as the title character, an independent-minded teenager confronting her unplanned pregnancy and the subsequent events that puts pressure on adult life onto her. Michael Cera plays the boy that gets her pregnant, and you have Jennifer Garner and Jason Bateman as this couple who are willing to adopt the baby whenever it gets born, and Allison Janney and J.K. Simmons play the parents of Juno. You also have Olivia Thirlby playing her best friend in the movie, and yeah, this is really a damn good film. Not only does it show what Jason Reitman is capable of doing, it's not just, nepotism. This is a guy who can make great movies on his own merits. He's not making the same type of films that his father, Ivan Reitman, did, and it's showing right in front of us. And not only that, you've got a solid cast overall that can make this story work as a whole. Ellen Page is absolutely incredible in this movie. She really is one of the strongest elements of the movie. Everybody plays their parts very well here. Nobody feels like they're playing a stock character overall. You do get invested in everybody's situation in this movie, and it does a very good job of making teen pregnancy a funny aspect too, while also being a more serious element here. And it works because of the writing of Diablo Cody, who won an Oscar for this, a well-deserved Oscar for writing the screenplay for this. And yeah, it's just an incredible, incredible film. It's a great film mostly because it's not just telling you, no, you got yourself in this situation, you're going to have this kid, and you're going to parent her. Yeah, she's going to have the kid, and she even thinks about having an abortion. There's a great scene early on where she sees somebody that she knows from school who's, protesting outside of the abortion center, and, she's, she talks to her for a little bit, and then she walks past her, and the person that she's talking to is just babies can feel inside of you, right? They have fingernails, and Ellen Page just goes fingernails, really? Stuff like that is actually pretty funny, and I like that she doesn't go along with it, even though nobody could really blame her for doing so in that situation, honestly. And yeah, it's a really inventive and very clever film that knows, as long as you have a good script to tell and you can balance comedy and drama out, you can make serious subjects like this work as a comedy if you need to, while you can also be very serious about it as well. It's a really impressive film and a really good movie that is still very relatable to a lot of teenage girls, even to this very day. It's a film that still very much holds up over almost 20 years later, and just shows that Jason Reitman has come a long way, and he really has become one of our great directors, because he really shows that he's stepping out of the elements that his father had beforehand. He's not making those same type of movies again, even though he would make Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I think is a great film. It's still my favorite movie of 2021. Yeah, once in a while that's his only major blockbuster he's ever done. He's gone back to mostly doing independent stuff, and it has worked out very well to his favor. I mean, he just did Saturday Night this past fall, which was another great movie. Yeah, this is a really impressively made film. It's a film that still holds up very well after all these years. It's boasted by a strong performance by Ellen Page and the rest of the cast overall, and it does a great job of balancing the comedic aspects and the dramatic aspects of teenage pregnancy, and doing it in a way where it doesn't feel like you should be offended by it in any way, shape, or form. It feels realistic, it feels fresh, and it feels well put together. This is one of my favorite movies, man. This is a great film overall, a really incredible comedy. What more can I say, man? Juno is pretty amazing, and it still holds up well nearly 20 years later.
Still looking for me.
What?
On August 3rd,
Why did you come here, Jason?
someone made me what I am. And I'm gonna find him. Bourne comes home.
He has our entire playbook. Names, dates, ghost sites.
What makes you think he's going to put it together?
It's Jason Bourne. He already has.
Eliminate the threat.
The Bourne Ultimatum.
I remember everything.
Rated PG-13.
So this is the third installment of the Bourne series, in which you have Matt Damon once again returning as Jason Bourne, being brought back out of hiding, this time by a London-based reporter, Simon Ross, who is trying to unveil Operation Blackbriar, an upgrade to Project Treadstone, in a series of newspaper columns. But Bourne sets up a meeting with Ross and realizes instantly they're being scammed. Information from the reporter stirs a new set of memories, and Bourne must finally ultimately uncover his dark past while staging the company's best efforts in trying to eradicate him. In addition to Joan Allen coming back, as well as Julia Stiles, we have new additions to the team, including David Strathairn joining the cast, as well as Paddy Considine. And yeah, it's another really good movie that really does a good job of wrapping up what was supposed to be the end of the trilogy. Obviously, we've had a couple of other movies since then. One very bad in the Bourne Legacy, and one that's better, but not as good as this is, Jason Bourne, which I like Jason Bourne more than most people do, but I really don't like the Bourne Legacy. As much as I love Jeremy Renner, and as much as I love the Bourne films in general, that one I think is the worst of the worst ones. Just so much in that movie doesn't work at all, but in this movie, everything that made the other two movies great gets pushed to the next level. All the action sequences are incredibly well done. The stunt work, very well done. I mean, these movies have great stunt work overall. And it just goes to show what a difference Paul Greengrass brings to the table when he does this movie, because the next film will be directed by the writer of this movie, Tony Gilroy. And yeah, what Paul Greengrass brings to the table is much more important than what we see from Tony Gilroy with the next film. But this film does a very good job of wrapping up the storyline and what was supposed to be the end of the series, but at this point, like, it does a good job of wrapping up Jason Bourne's character, giving him, everything he needs to know about who he really is, on who he really becomes, down the road, is on who he became as the person that we know him as. And yeah, it's a really good film with a lot of great talent all across the board. The writing is top notch, the action, some of the best in the series. Everything about this movie just works incredibly well. There are very few flaws in the film. It's a fantastic movie. I enjoyed every minute of it. I really love this series in general. What more can I say, man? This is a great film. The Bourne Ultimatum. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and check it out, man.
And tonight, before the dessert course, we present for your pleasure the traditional cheese trolley. To start, we have an excellent clochette, creamy, very nice, very light. Next, a brebis, hearty, with a surprising bite, I think you'll find. And finally, the pièce de résistance, very special, very well.
This is me. I think it's apparent that I need to rethink my life a little bit. I can't help myself. I like good food, okay? And good food is hard for a rat to find.
It wouldn't be so hard to find if you weren't so picky.
I don't want to eat garbage, Dad. What is that?
I don't really know.
You don't know, and you're eating it.
If you can sort of muscle your way past the gag reflex, all kinds of food possibilities open up.
This is what I'm talking about. I don't think any of this would have come up, but we happen to live in Paris, France. And it's so easy to find good food in Paris. It's just dangerous.
Gotta rethink your life.
He's right, Let it go, Dad!
This one's an interesting one for me personally. The title, of course, refers to the French dish Ratatouille and also references the species of the main character, a rat. And set mostly in Paris, you follow a young rat played by Patton Oswalt who dreams of becoming a chef at Auguste Gusteau's restaurant, the chef's being played by Brad Garrett, and also trying to achieve his goal of forming an unlikely alliance with the restaurant's garbage boy, Alfredo Linguini, played by Lou Romano. And of course, you have a storyline going on within the story where he realizes that he's actually the father of Gusto, and it just goes through various different phases of the storyline. They got to deal with a food critic that wants to shut the place down, and I'll be honest with you. When I first saw this movie, I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I really didn't think it was that good of a movie overall. It's a movie that I needed time to really take in. I needed a few years to really appreciate how good it really was, because like I said, it didn't wow me at first, but then it took a couple of viewings, like about maybe, I want to say 4 or 5 different viewings after I saw it for the first time. That's when I finally started to realize why people were talking about this as, such the great movie that it was. I mean, it is a movie that really, you have to let it take its time with you to really appreciate what makes it so special. And I don't know why. I think it was mostly because the first time I saw it, I didn't really get invested by it. I was kind of bored by it at first. It was more talk. There was a lot more dialogue than there was actual, action and a storyline going on here. Not that a movie like this that needs to have a whole lot of action going on in it, but considering what Brad Bird had done beforehand with The Iron Giant and The Incredibles, this is a much more laid-back movie. And it took me a while to really realize why that was working for this film going forward. At first, I was just kind of like, yeah, this isn't really working for me. But then, like I said, about 4 or 5 times after I saw the film for the first time, that's when I finally started to realize why this worked, and why, around the time I had become more convinced of how, not every movie needs to have a whole lot of action. You can actually have a lot more dialogue in a movie than anything going on in terms of like big adventure and all that stuff. And yeah, there is adventure in here. There is a little bit of action here and there, but a lot of it comes in the dialogue. A lot of it comes in the relationships between the characters. Like, you have the relationship between the rat and the garbage boy. You have him in the relationship with this woman played by Janine Garofalo. You have this kind of asshole antagonist, chef who wants to take over the restaurant. You have Remy trying to work with his family in general, who doesn't want him to be this fancy food guy, just be happy with what he has to have to work with here. They got to deal with the food critic, who also has a big storyline towards the end of the movie. Like, it really did take me time to really appreciate the true majesty of what made this movie so special, and it really works because it is unlike the other movies that Brad Bird had done before. It is more laid back. It is more it's more straightforward than it's letting on. Like, it's a movie that lets the storyline just play out, and lets the dialogue really be the reason why the movie holds up and has the big payoff at the end. Because yeah, the movie overall works incredibly well on so many levels because of how good the dialogue really is. When the film really delivers the best stuff is in the second half, when they have to deal with the food critic, and, the way the food critic actually has a change of heart because of the food that they serve him. And there is a lot of nice dialogue in the movie. There's a lot of stuff that they do in here that, yeah, it works to the film's advantage overall. And it made me realize after those few times I saw it, what really made this movie so special was the fact that, yeah, it was something radically different from this director, from what Pixar had been doing before. It's not the same storyline they had done before so many times before in the past. And it's a really good movie. It's a very entertaining film. It's another masterpiece by Brad Bird that took its time for me to really get my full interest in. And when it finally hit me on why this movie works so well, I fell in love with it every time I see it. Like, it's a movie that I've understood now to be as good as everyone had said beforehand. It just took me a long time to really appreciate what the movie was trying to do at this point, and it just works really well. It's an incredible film, very well done, very nicely animated, very emotional, nice storyline, nice voice work. It's a really good movie. It's one I can't recommend enough. Ratatouille, it's a great film. If you see it for the first time, it may not hit you at first, but once you get a couple of viewings into it, you'll really appreciate the true nature of why this movie is so special. At least that's what happened with me, but who knows what might happen with you people out there. But
Wilson's War has been nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Picture.
Without Charlie, history would be sadly different.
Sometimes you have to be unconventional to accomplish the unbelievable. Charlie Wilson's War, rated R.
What a great movie, man. This is one of my favorite films of all time. I mean, this is a film that's, and, you know, for a director like Mike Nichols, this is the last film he directed, and what a way to go out as a director, man. In the film, it's based off the story of U.S. Congressman Charlie Wilson, played by Tom Hanks, and CIA operative Gust Avrakotos, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but he's played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, whose efforts lead to Operation Cyclone, a program to organize and support the Afghan Mujahideen during the Soviet-Afghan War. And not only that, you have a script written by Aaron Sorkin and a cast which features a ton of notable names in this film. I mean, Julia Roberts, Amy Adams, Ned Beatty, John Slattery, Rachel Nichols. I mean, there's a lot of notable names in this movie. Emily Blunt is in the film as well. Shiri Appleby. I mean, there's a lot of good people in the film, and the film is just so damn good. I mean, this is one of those movies that came out of nowhere to become this really fantastic film that it is. I mean, Tom Hanks, you're always going to get a good performance out of him no matter what. Julia Roberts does a fantastic job, as does Philip Seymour Hoffman. The supporting cast in here is a ton of fun to watch. Amy Adams is really good here. Emily Blunt, really good in the movie. Not only his performance, but like she makes it fully aware that her presence is there right from the get-go in her scene with Tom Hanks. I mean, I think you know which scene I'm talking about. But not only that, it's then followed by the introduction of Philip Seymour Hoffman's character with John Slattery from Mad Men, and that scene is just pure perfection. That is the best scene in the entire movie. And I really do believe that's the scene that won Philip Seymour Hoffman the nomination for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards. Of course, he didn't win it, but that he got a nomination for that. And if you watch that movie in particular, I mean, that scene in particular, that's the reason why I think he got that nomination, because he definitely deserves it for that. That's one of the great character interests I've ever seen in the movie. This film is just great. Charlie Wilson's War is just a great movie. Every adult can enjoy it, especially men, considering that the film literally opens up with Tom Hanks sitting in a hot tub with 3 naked women. I mean, this is a winner all across the board. It's a smart film. It's a very funny film. It's a very dramatic film. It's all the pieces coming together, making for a great, great film. I mean, this is a great study of showing how we've gotten to this point in our history, and it is really an enjoyable movie. From the script by Aaron Sorkin, from the direction by Mike Nichols, from the cast, everything about this movie works. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I can't recommend it enough. Charlie Wilson's War. Definitely check it out.
Excuse me.
Super cop. Meet the cop. The cop is stopped.
Let's cut through here. Come on. Through the gardens. What's the matter, Danny? You never taken a shortcut before?
The famous fence scene from every one of these movies. Yeah, what's the matter, Danny? You ever heard of a shortcut? And then just all the different ways they use the fences in these movies. I mean, that's one of the charms of this trilogy in general. The Three Favorites Cornetto trilogy, of course, this is the second film of that series. The most successful one of the bunch in terms of critical success and commercial success. And in the film, you have Simon Pegg starring as Nicholas Angel, who's an elite London police officer whose proficiency makes the rest of his team look bad, causing him to be reassigned to a West County village where a series of gruesome deaths take place. You have Nick Frost starring as Constable Daniel Butterman, and also Jim Broadbent and Timothy Hutton also star in the movie. And, what can you say, man? Hot Fuzz is one of the greatest comedies of all time. I mean, this is a film that is a parody and a loving parody of classic action comedies, action films in general. Over 100 action films were used as the inspiration for the script for this. I mean, this is a film that knows what it needs to do to entertain the hell out of you, and it does just that. The fun factor is great. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are two wonderfully gifted comic talents, and when they get together, it's almost instantly comedy gold. I mean, this is a film that just works on so many levels. So many quotable lines in this movie. Just a beautifully fun, over-the-top movie that just works on every single level. I mean, honestly, there's really not much more I can say about this movie. I mean, the concept alone is hilarious, Simon Pegg's character is sent to another police district. Why? Not because he's doing a bad job, but because he's doing a too good of a job. And that concept alone is just instant comedy gold right from the get-go, because he gets put in this place where, where he's just way too overpowered by his own abilities as a cop, and just like everything about this movie is just pure instant gold on so many levels. It's a fantastic movie. This series is great, and hey, it gives me another excuse to pop out these little beauties again, because these are my pride and joy, and I spent almost $600 to get all of these, so I will gladly show these off once again. I mean, just look at this. Just look at how cool that is. I mean, yeah. And basically, I brought these out just to show these off again, because these really are is my pride and joy. The fact that I spent so much money on these, and I don't regret it one bit, because these are absolutely amazing. Plus, they're still worth $5,000 on eBay right now, so I ain't getting rid of these beauties anytime soon. That's for damn sure. So, but with all of that said, that is Hot Fuzz for you. And of course, this is only a couple of days after Halloween, which means the holiday movie season is upon us. All these big blockbuster family movies that everyone's going out to see. And the first film that we have here clearly is a movie that's perfectly tailored for all those families to go out, take the kids out of their costumes from Halloween, and into the movie theater to go see this first film.
That Uncle Frank? I want to be you. My investigation indicates that Frank Lucas is above the mafia.
That is your house, Mama.
Bribery, extortion, murder.
You're gonna need more than that.
This is my home, my country. I ain't going nowhere.
American Gangster. Maybe it all starts November.
That's right, come on kids, let's grab the Halloween candy, sneak it into the theater, and watch American Gangster, the perfect family film to start the holiday season. Of course, I am totally kidding on all those levels, but, yes, American Gangster is the first film that we have here, and as you can see, it's Denzel Washington and Ridley Scott working together for the first time since Virtuosity. Their careers have definitely been very different since that movie came out. Denzel Washington has now 2 Academy Awards instead of just 1. Russell Crowe has won it as well, and has gone way from where he was in Virtuosity to now becoming the distinctive actor that he is nowadays, except also for the fact that he's also kind of a psychotic nut job at times too. But in this film, you have a story that's based on the story of it's based on the criminal career of Frank Lucas, who's played by Washington, and he smuggles heroin into the United States on American service planes returning from the Vietnam War before being detained by a task force led by Detective Richie Roberts, played by Russell Crowe. In the movie, you also have Josh Brolin, Ted Levine, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Norman Reedus, Ruby Dee, and Cuba Gooding Jr. among the cast in here too. And really, there's not much more you can really add to this film that hasn't already been said about it. It's a great film. It's definitely one of my favorite Ridley Scott movies, and one of my favorite movies of all time. Here you have 2 actors at the top of their game, Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, giving easily their best performance of the decade, and director Ridley Scott delivering his best directorial effort in years with this movie. And it's a good thing I'm talking about this, because I've been giving Ridley Scott a bad rap in the last year or so, because, yeah, I admit it, a lot of his movies recently have not been that great. In fact, most of them have been downright terrible. I mean, a lot of people like The Last Duel. I didn't like that one. I kind of like House of Gucci. I didn't like Napoleon. I didn't like Gladiator 2. The best thing he's done in the last came out almost 10 years ago, and that was The Martian. Well, actually, this October will be 10 years ago, but yeah, that's 10 years ago for a director who is a well-recognized and well-appreciated director on all levels. I mean, this is the guy that really changed the game for many, many movies. I mean, yeah, I've talked about his great works, the Alien, Warriors, Blade Runner, Black Rain, a lot of his movies that I liked in the past, and yeah, I've been harsh on him in the last couple of years, but it's only because I love this guy's work from the past, and it just feels like he's repeating himself so many times, and it's great that I finally get to talk about a movie like this, because it shows that here's a guy that still has a lot of ability to tell an intriguing story here, and this is a really good story to tell here, and it's a very good movie, and it shows what Ridley Scott is capable of doing, and I kind of wish he'd go back to doing stuff like this and The Martian, revitalize the game, do something that's not just repeating the same stuff you've done over and over and over again. And yeah, I mean, Washington and Crow have had other great performances in the decade. You know, both were great in Training Day and A Beautiful Mind, which, yeah, they were two films that almost could have made the list for the best of the decade. But this movie is still one that I still love going back to. It's a great movie, even at 3 hours long. American Gangster is a very entertaining and enjoyable film with strong supportive performances from the rest of the cast. You know, great character development, fantastic set pieces. They do a great job of bringing you back to, you know, this time period when these guys were doing their jobs and all that. And it's a shame that the film didn't get more award recognition. It only got 2 Oscars, one for art direction and then a supporting actress Oscar for Ruby Dee, who plays Denzel's mother in this. But you could have easily given Washington and Scott and Crow Oscar nominations for this, easily. But it's probably the best movie of its kind since Scarface. And if you have not seen this movie, see this movie. It is definitely one of Ridley Scott's greatest achievements. It's definitely one of Denzel Russell's best performances. It's a great movie. I can't recommend it enough. American Gangster is a great movie.
She knew how to turn her life into a movie and watch things happen. Not to her, but to a girl who looked just like her. How would she ever find her other half? She knew only that she had to try. She had no choice.
Aubrey, you talk about her like she's real. It's the stupidest assignment for class.
Aubrey, wait! I'll meet you in front of the Fremont at 11:45.
Where's Aubrey?
Mr. Fleming, is there any chance that your daughter might have run away? Was she unhappy about anything? No, not at all.
Hey, are you okay? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. Miss you live. How bad? Hey, honey, I sure did miss you.
Aubrey, we're gonna have you home in no time.
Who are you? Who is Aubrey?
Oh boy. Was this a disaster of a movie? Where do you even begin? Well, first of all, let's talk about the plot. This is a story that revolves around Lindsay Lohan, who's a young woman who's abducted and tortured by a sadistic serial killer, and after surviving the abduction, she insists that her identity is that of another woman, a woman that she was talking about, as you saw there in a school report, that she thinks that is very real. And, yeah, this was a film that was heavily promoted as, oh, this is Lindsay Lohan's move into more darker territory. I mean, she plays a stripper. That means you're going to see her naked. And, yeah, you don't see her naked in this movie. Even though she's a stripper in this movie, it's rated R. And, yeah, you don't see her naked at all. Not one moment in this movie. So, what was the point then? What's the point of making this movie? And, yeah, not to mention that this was around that time when Lindsay Lohan was known for, you know, publicly struggling with addiction and personal issues, and she was a nuisance on the set of movies. I mean, we talked about that with Georgia Rule. And, yeah, this is a film that just is absolutely 100% such a disaster on so many levels because, you know, it took all that goodwill that Lindsay Lohan had 4 years ago when she broke out with Freaky Friday and then Mean Girls and then had success with Herbie Fully Loaded. And then, you know, just after that, the career turn just started the coaster just started going all the way down with stuff like Just My Luck, Georgia Rule, and now, lo and behold, this film. It also doesn't help that everybody in this movie is dislikable. You hate every single person here. You don't care about Lindsay Lohan's character because she comes off as a freak in this movie. Not a good type of freak though. Just a nut job who spends way too much time on this whole thing. And it's just like, you hate the parents. You hate the people that they're trying to help out. You know, the serial killer comes out looking more likable than anybody else in this movie because everybody else just comes off as obnoxious or just self-centered and just everything about them just goes completely out the door so quickly. This film is an unbelievable mess of a movie that just fails on so many levels, and it's hard to believe that this movie has actually gone ahead and gotten one of those reappraisals by people, with people saying that it's actually not a bad movie at all. I don't know what they're seeing because, yeah, the mystery ain't that interesting. You can figure out right away, you know, what the twist is going to be in this whole situation here, and it's not worth it at all. Nothing about this movie makes it worth it at all. And like I said, this was the film that killed Lindsay Lohan's chances of, you know, becoming the next big movie star. Like, it was a good 4-year run while it lasted, but this was the film that did it, you know, failing on so many levels, from the marketing campaign, from the performance itself, from the story itself. Everything about this movie just feels like this shouldn't have been a theatrical release. This feels like a film that you would see as the Lifetime movie of the week, and not even one that would be highly promoted. Just that one that would be like, we put new movies out every week, and you probably don't even know about it. This would be one of those movies. This would be one of those films that would be on that list. That's how bad this movie is. This is a terrible film. It's completely lies to you about what you're getting. You don't get anything about it in this movie whatsoever. It's a terrible film. Avoid it like the plague. I Know Who Killed Me.
Are you going north again?
I'm leaving immediately.
I want to see the ice bears and glaciers. Can I come with you?
December 7th, what began as an adventure
War is coming, child.
will become an epic battle. You're under our protection. To save their world.
Just let them try to stop us.
The Golden Compass, rated PG-13, starts December 7th, only in theaters.
Like I said, it didn't really make that much money overall. And it was seen as a massive disappointment. And it was actually seen as one of the things that caused New Line Cinema to actually be shut down and absorbed into Warner Brothers. I mean, this is one of the movies that literally led them to do that. And, for a studio that's gambled so much on The Lord of the Rings almost 10 years prior, to have a movie like this basically be the thing that causes them to contract as a studio, that tells you something. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened there, but let's talk about the movie itself, though, because it's a film that I did see back in the day, thinking that, because I missed out on Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Narnia, and I thought, all these fantasy franchises turned out to be pretty good, so maybe I'll be there for the next big franchise to come, and like I said, needless to say, that was not the case. But in the film, you have a girl named Lyra Belacqua who joins a race of water workers and seafarers on a trip to the far north in search of children kidnapped by the Gobblers, a group supported by the world's rutlers, the Magisterium. And you got Nicole Kidman in here, Daniel Craig, Sam Elliott, Ian McKellen, Eva Green, Freddie Highmore. Everybody has these animals that they're companions with, and they're voiced by a lot of different actors. Freddie Highmore's the one for Lyra, and I believe Kristen Scott Thomas is the one for Daniel Craig. And part of the I think you did kind of see part of the reason why this didn't work to begin with, and it's mostly because, unlike here's the thing: Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Narnia, they had complex stories, but they were at least simple to understand what was going on. They were at least able to give you a legitimate story, building characters across these films. And they had movies where they could simplify a story while also being more complicated. But never to the point where you get confused right away. The Golden Compass is the complete opposite of that, because quite frankly, you really have no idea what the hell is going on here. And even if you read the books, you still would have no idea what the hell is going on in here, because so much happens in this movie. So much and it feels like New Line's copying themselves, really, because we've already had several movies that have tried to create the next big fantasy franchise and failed miserably. Of course, Fox had Aragon the year before, and just a couple months ago, they had The Secret, The Dark is Rising, which was also a massive failure. And this film definitely is up there with those movies that tried so hard to get something going, and it just failed miserably overall. And it was really being bad from the get-go, because you couldn't tell what the hell was going on in this movie. Everything was way too complicated. You didn't know who much about these characters overall. They just brought you right into the story. And it didn't work overall. And it didn't help that you had a director like Chris Weitz, who had proven time again that he could be a solid director, as he did, American Pie, Down to Earth, About a Boy beforehand. But now you give him this bigger blockbuster to work with here. And needless to say, I think he was the wrong guy for this movie overall. I think you needed somebody on the levels of a Peter Jackson or even a Guillermo del Toro to really show off what he is, expand the world a little bit more. Get a guy that knows how to write the scripts overall, that can really work in this type of a blockbuster environment here. And the end result we got here was a film that had a lot of ambition to it, but just was asking the audience way too much overall. It's kind of like the precursor to David Lynch's Dune back in the 80s, or even something similar to David Lynch's Dune in the 80s. I should say, not a precursor, but, a movie that was ambitious for the time, but just didn't have enough there to really cement itself as a film that was going to really become the next big thing overall. And yeah, the end results speak for themselves overall. Even though the film did make its budget back eventually. It made over $370 million worldwide, and there were talks about a sequel because the film did very well overseas. But of course, when New Line Cinema basically had to be shut down and absorbing the Warner Brothers, that was kind of the nail in the coffin on that front there. But we did eventually get a TV reboot out of it with His Dark Materials, which overall was a pretty good show, and actually did show off the potential of what this story could be about. Even if you, like I said, even if you never read the books before, you could still get an understanding in that show much better than you could in a film like this. I just feel like in this film there was just way too much going on. Nobody really had a direct idea of what the intention was for this supposed to be. And it just failed miserably on so many levels. And yeah, even when I came out of the movie, I was just like, I don't even know if I like this or not. Or like, I just don't feel anything like it did when I watched Harry Potter for the first time or Lord of the Rings. I just felt like this was a film that really was trying way too hard to copy what had worked before, instead of just doing something new and exciting and different. And it backfired on New Line Cinema big time. They thought they could hit the bullseye once again. Only this time, the nightmare they thought Lord of the Rings was going to be happened with this movie. And of course, a couple months later, they would eventually have to be absorbed back into Warner Brothers. And this is where New Line Cinema is currently at right now. So anyway, that is the Golden Compass.
A little out of place. High school. The one thing you need most can be right in front of you. You will? Tomorrow.
I won the talent show 3 times. You're the only one that can break a streak. I'll be watching you.
Find the inspiration.
I found some boy. Can't talk about it.
To find your voice.
Go for it.
Okay, bye. This is awesome.
Bratz, APG starts tomorrow.
Yes, Bratz, the movie that Avi Arad hyped up as X-Men for teenage girls. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I mean, this is, of course, based off of the popular dolls, and you know, it was actually the first live-action film of this to do these dolls. That sounds really horrible, but there was what I'm trying to say is that there was a TV series, there was an animated series that came before this, and you have the story revolving around this group of 4 teenage girls, their origins of their friendship, and the social pyramid that tries to make the Bratz conform to archetype high school cliques. I think I'm pronouncing this right. Archetypal, ARCHETYPAL. Basically, high school cliques. Let's just call it that. But yeah, the plot of this movie is really stupid, and just the fact that this one girl who like controls everything in this cafeteria where people have to sit and all that. You know, they don't like this idea that. Because she thinks that because she's rich and popular and the student body president, that means everybody has to belong to a clique and everyone has to follow her order. Basically, this is a young Karen in the making. I mean, this is pretty much that. And when these 4 girls are just like, yeah, we're not going to do that. She spends the next 3 years of her life in high school trying to destroy their friendship. That is the plot of this whole movie. Or at least that's what a thread of the plot of this movie is, because, good lord, this movie just goes all over the map with its storylines. Nothing about this movie makes any sense whatsoever. The girls have no friendship chemistry whatsoever. It's amazing that out of all the people that are in this group of friends, only one of them went on to have a legitimate career after this, and that's Logan Browning, who you've seen her in a bunch of movies, most notably the TV series Dear White People, and of course I literally just had the title and I completely forgot it. The movie with Allison Williams in it. What? The Perfection, that's what it was. I mean, I just literally had it in my brain, and then just as I was about to say it, it completely left it. But I guess Janelle Parrish has been on Pretty Little Liars, so there is a couple of names that did go on to bigger things. And then you've got the rest of the cast, which includes Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks. I don't think I need to say more about his career. Kadeem Hardison's in here, Lainey Kazan. And then, of course, how can I not mention the legend that is John Voight in this movie, who plays not only the father of the main evil girl in the movie, but he's the principal, but he's also the bumbling principal with a terrible prosthetic nose. I mean, this nose looks absolutely horrible. I mean, good lord, John Voight, what are you doing in this movie? Just in general, what are you doing in this film? I mean, are you really paying off it? Do you really need to help pay off those you know, this the grandkids that Angelina Jolie keeps getting. I mean, I completely lost what I was going to tell with that joke. Bottom line here, what I'm trying to say here is that Bratz is fucking terrible. I mean, that's really all I'm trying to tell you with this movie. This movie is absolutely awful. This movie sucks. This movie is absolutely awful in general. This thing should not be on a big screen whatsoever, but they spent $20 million on this movie to bring it to the big screen, and it wasn't worth it? No. At any other studio, this would have been a direct-to-video release, but not at Lionsgate, because we need to churn out the family fare to make people forget that we're the studio that Jigsaw built. We're the house that Jigsaw built. Yeah, I'm completely running out of things to say about this movie. What more do I even need to say about this? It's fucking Bratz. It sucks. You should avoid it like the plague. I don't care if it's not made for me. Even the movie the target audience this movie is made for, they should have no reason to see this movie whatsoever. So, yeah.
For 4 years, they've been the daddies of daycare.
I can't believe our sons are 7. I'm going to spend as much time with Ben as possible.
But now, they're taking everything they've learned.
The daddy daycare brand means a lot. Repurposing that brand into summer is just smart business.
But you hate the outdoors.
To a more natural setting.
There it is!
Camp Deadwood! We were here when we were kids.
We don't know how to run a camp.
Yes, but we didn't know how to run a daycare center either.
What could possibly go wrong? From the studio that brought you Daddy Daycare.
This is it. Time to give them a summer they'll never forget.
They won't forget that.
Meet the campers.
Now, if you all could just sign these waivers acknowledging you've been briefed on safety.
Becca.
I don't believe that a personal injury waiver executed by a child is a legally binding document.
Mullet.
Business up front, party in the back, baby.
Robert.
Look at her. She puts on butt spray like an angel.
And Jack.
What's his problem?
Oh, the offer's gonna blow.
Gonna show them adventure Charlie and Phil style.
They'll discover the excitement of camp and the importance of family.
You guys just need to be yourselves and know that you're gonna be winners no matter what.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
I guess we showed them.
Daddy Daycare.
What else could go wrong? No. Please, don't say that.
I think we're gonna need more toilet paper.
Really? Somebody at Sony looked at this and said, clearly this is meant to go on the big screen. What do you mean people won't go to see it because we don't have Eddie Murphy or Jeff Garlin back? You know, just replace him with Cuba Gooding Jr. and this guy that nobody's ever heard of. Nobody will be able to know the difference. Yeah, because you won't be able to tell the difference between Eddie Murphy and Cuba Gooding Jr. Sweet mother of God. I mean, just when you think that Boat Trip and Radio were the worst things that Cuba Gooding Jr. could ever associate himself with, this right here. This is the bottom of the barrel. Because at least with Boat Trip, there's at least a so bad it's good mentality to that movie. And Roger Moore is very funny in that movie. At least in Radio, the intentions were good, but the film was just such a bad mess overall. This right here is the worst of the worst. This dude, who's won an Academy Award with Cuba Gooding Jr., should know better than to step into a movie like this. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this, but lo and behold, that's the film we have here. And I'm just getting the plot right here because it's not available on the Wikipedia page, but Charlie Hinton and Phil Ryerson are back in this hilarious all-new adventure. That's a complete lie right there. When they expand their daycare magic to Underdog Camp Driftwood, they discover that teamwork combined with some downright crazy antics is the right mix to give the kids an unforgettable camp experience. This movie is an abomination of a movie because we're taking a movie that wasn't even that good to begin with, but was a success regardless, and we're completely watering it down even more than we did before. We're not going to get anybody back from the last movie. Was Eddie Murphy's too good for us, even though he did Norbit, which I'll give him credit for Norbit because he had an idea of what Norbit was supposed to be. He had an idea to do something that was going to be what he thought was entertainment. Yeah, I can't blame him for saying no to this movie. I can't blame Jeff Garlin for saying no to this, because you know what he's like. Hey, I've got Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm right here. I don't need to do another one of these. Like, if you can't even get Regina King to come back for this movie, and you had to get Tamala Jones, who it's a great actress overall, very underrated actress, but yeah, like, if you can't even get her to come back in this movie, they can't even get the kids to come back in this movie. The kids were too good for this. The kids are too good for this mess of a film. That's how bad this movie is. This film is a disastrous comedy, one of the worst sequels ever made. Like, most people thought around this time that we wouldn't get bad movies like this. Like, most of these bad movies would go straight to DVD where they would go to die, but not this movie. No, someone at Sony had the brilliant idea to put this out and think it was going to be a success, and it was not whatsoever. It was panned by critics. It was one of the biggest flops of the year. It's one of the worst sequels ever produced, and it killed whatever career that Fred Savage would have had as a film director, because he directed this movie after many years of working as a television director. Of course, started his career off with the Wonder Years and became a pretty prominent television director, and this is supposed to be his big breakout film, and this is the result he gives us. And it's just like, yeah, just an abomination of a movie, an absolute mess. What more do you have to say about this movie that hasn't already been said already? It's a terrible movie. It's a disaster on so many levels. It's a film that forced Cuba Gooding Jr. to spend the next 5 years working in really bad direct-to-video films until Lee Daniels gave him a call up and said, hey, I know you keep starring in these bad movies, but I know that you won an Academy Award. I have this movie called The Butler. Are you in? Yeah. It took him that much time before we saw Cuba Gooding Jr. in a movie that everyone got to see. Like, what more do I even need to say about this movie, man? This is terrible. This is one of the worst movies ever made. I mean, are you really that surprised? Are you really that amazed that this is one of the worst movies ever made? The concept was just bad on so many levels, on its own merits. Yeah. I have nothing else to say. Daddy Day Camp sucks. Avoid it like the plague.
Cool. Whenever I'm around evil, I change into Ghost Rider.
So tonight you'll...
I believe so.
On February 16th.
You're freaking me out.
The adventure begins.
That's right.
Ghost Rider.
You alright? Yeah, I'm good. I feel like my skull's on fire, but I'm good.
Really PG-13.
I mean, Ghost Rider was pretty hyped up when this movie was coming out, right to the point where Robot Chicken literally did a sketch with Ghost Rider, with Nicolas Cage, months before the movie even came out.
Rider outtake.
Okay, Nick, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, here we go.
Did anyone teach him to ride a motorcycle? Anyone?
I mean, they were expecting this to be a massive, massive hit, and it was a hit. It made money. It did more than Daredevil, but then again, Daredevil didn't really make a ton of money overall, like compared to other superhero blockbuster movies. I mean, around this time, yeah, it was fine for what it was, but let's delve into this. When the motorcyclist Johnny Blaze, played by Nicolas Cage, finds out that his father, Barton Blaze, has a terminal cancer, he accepts a plea with Mephistopheles, played by Peter Fonda, giving his soul for the health of his beloved father. But the devil deceives him, and Barton dies in a motorcycle accident during an exhibition. Johnny leaves the carnival, his town, and his friends, and his girlfriend, played by Eva Mendes. Years later, Johnny Blaze becomes a famous motorcyclist who risks his life in the shows, and he meets Roxanne again, now a TV reporter. However, Mephistopheles proposes Johnny to release his contract if he becomes the Ghost Rider and defeat his evil son Blackheart, who wants to possess 1,000 evil souls and transform hell on Earth. And there is a potential for a good Ghost Rider movie. He got somebody on the level of somebody like Guillermo del Toro, J.J. Abrams, who could have captured the visual style of the comic books really well. Not this movie. They got the hack director Mark Steven Johnson, who previously sleptwalked his way through Daredevil and made one of the worst romantic comedies ever made with When in Rome just a couple years later. And what a shocker, he slept his way through Ghost Rider yet again and didn't even try to make a good movie, because this is right up there with Elektra and Hulk and Howard the Duck as Marvel's worst movies ever made. And that is saying a lot. The characters are so bland. They have no personality to them at all. They're just generic characters in a superhero movie. Nicolas Cage gives nothing to the role of Ghost Rider. Eva Mendes is so boring as Roxanne. I don't care if she's hot. That doesn't make you a good damsel in distress. You gotta have something there besides just being the hot woman with the big boobs. I mean, that's literally what she is in this movie. Peter Fonda looks like he doesn't want to be there. Wes Bentley plays one of the pussiest villains in superhero movie history. If Sam Elliott can't even save your movie from this being as bad as it is, Sam friggin' Elliott can't save this movie. Think about that. The action sequences are so badly done. The CG is so terrible. Ghost Rider himself is one of the most laughingly bad CG effects in the movie, and his transformation scene as Ghost Rider is up there with the "No, not the Bee" scene from The Wicker Man, and that says a lot in terms of Cage overacting his ass off and making me laugh my ass off instead of giving a shit about him. It's like, oh, is he injured? No, I'm laughing my ass off at how stupid this is. The dialogue feels like it was literally stolen from other movies. There are so many lines in this movie that feel like they've been taken from other movies. They just replace the names of other characters to put the name of the characters in the movie in their place. And the original dialogue that is there is so terrible and so bland, it makes me want to tear my goddamn hair out at how bad it is. I mean, this was clearly made by somebody who had no interest in creating a good movie about this character whatsoever, had no interest in the character whatsoever, and just decided to make a bland superhero origin story with cheesy action, terrible bad action scenes, shitty dialogue. It feels like watching the Roger Corman Fantastic Four all over again. It's that bad of a movie. Mark Steven Johnson should never ever direct another superhero movie, and he should just never direct another movie again, because most of his other movies are downright terrible. He does not care. He's one of those hack directors out there who just does whatever the studio wants him to do, and instead of finding a bad movie, he just does whatever the studio wants and just doesn't give a fuck. To hell with this guy. I really don't care. I mean, there's a chance that somebody could revitalize this character. I mean, he was going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. I remember reading about when they were getting all the cameos for that movie. I think they had Nicolas Cage optioning in to do Ghost Rider, and then they just couldn't, and then they decided not to do it. But somewhere down the road, somebody's got to take this character and give him new life, honestly. I mean, it's not impossible to do, and hopefully somebody will. Hopefully not a hack director like Mark Steven Johnson. So yeah, this movie sucks. This movie really, really sucks. So yeah, avoid this one like the plague.
No one thought a guy like Nick Persons would settle down. But now he's a family man.
Oh, there's something that we really need to talk about this morning.
Who's about to get a big surprise.
Coco, get down.
Honey, I'm pregnant.
So they're leaving the city behind.
Where's the mall?
You need to get a little fresh air and open spaces.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Now?
Right now.
Pregnant lady coming through!
For a new life in the country.
The place was built in 1889. It's a really amazing place to raise a family.
Can we really afford this house?
She is a fixer-upper.
Guess what? I can do the fixing. We'll take it.
Now they're getting close to nature.
You and me, it's nothing to be scared of. But that.
And experiencing the joys of family life.
I can fix that.
Mm-hmm. I think you should just call a contractor. Are we done yet? Now do you want the number?
This spring.
You're the local real estate guy. I'm also the local contractor. You got dry rot. Dry what?
He may be in over his head.
What is this? Phase 1.
But he's about to realize he's not just building a home. He's building a family.
I know it's been kind of hard making the move and all. I think you're a cool son.
And you're a cool dad.
Kevin! You messed with the wrong kid!
Would you like to give thanks? Why? Are we going home?
I got this. I give thanks to all the wonderful creatures that surround us. Thank you for the support of my family. And most of all, for putting us in this beautiful home.
At least the table's strong.
I can fix that.
Are we done yet?
Honey, what was that?
The raccoon. You think you bad? I got it! Did I get him?
No.
Funny. That's what everyone was saying when they were watching this movie. Are we done yet? Can we wrap this up already? And no, we can't, unfortunately. But as you see in the trailer, in this movie, you have Ice Cube and Nia Long once again playing the newlyweds Nick and Suzanne Parsons, and they decide to move to the suburbs to provide a better life for their two kids, Lindsay and Kevin, but their idea of a dream home is disturbed by a contractor played by John C. McGinley with a bizarre approach to business. I said before with Wild Hogs, they were really trying to push John C. McGinley as the next big movie star. Of course, he'd been a character actor for so many years, but his work as Dr. Cox on Scrubs, basically led Hollywood to think he was going to be the next big deal, but never really went that route. But this was actually based off of a remake. This was actually originally supposed to be a remake of Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, and they basically turned that into a sequel that, it's about what you expect it to be, a generic comedy sequel that's not funny, not clever, and just, lazy callbacks to the first movie. Like, we gotta have the deer in there because the deer was in the first movie. We gotta have lines that we used in the first film. We gotta use them now for the mother in this movie who's now pregnant. Like, stuff like that. It is what you think it is once you get into it. And there was a much funnier version of the storyline done better. This is not Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. It's a movie called The Money Pit, which was another movie about a couple that buys a house, a really nice-looking house for very cheap, only to realize that the house is completely and utterly trashed. The walls are crumbling down, the floors are breaking open, the stairs literally fall apart, the electricity almost takes out the entire kitchen. Just chaos happens. It's a much funnier movie than anything in this pile of garbage, and this is without a doubt the worst thing Ice Cube has ever done in terms of movies, and that's not really saying a whole lot because. But then again, no, I take that back. Ice Cube, I like Ice Cube a lot, but a lot of his movies he does have not been the best movies overall, and it's not really his fault. It's just that the scripts he's given are not really that clever or funny to work with, or entertaining to work with as a whole. Not really funny, but look at XXX State of the Union a few years ago. Like, he probably could have been a replacement for Vin Diesel, but unfortunately the script wasn't very good. And yeah, here the script isn't very good, and it just falls into predictable territory that we've seen done to death so many times before. And and this was only made because the first movie was such a success, and then this comes out, doesn't make any bit of the money that the first movie did, because the first movie was released over Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, when no family competition was out there. You're releasing this right in the middle of stuff like TMNT, Meet the Robinsons, Blades of Glory. Some families went to go see Blades of Glory instead of this. Just common sense would tell you, if you're releasing this with a bunch of other competition, chances are it's not going to do very well. And not a shocker, this movie didn't do very well. And it doesn't help that the movie isn't funny either. Jokes that you've seen done to death before so many times, humor that's not funny whatsoever. It's just the typical bad family comedy sequel that just exists to make a quick buck because the first movie was such a success, and you could tell nobody put real effort into this movie. Nobody really wanted to do this movie, except they did it because the first movie was a success, and they got a bigger paycheck out of it. And there was also a TV series that came out of the original Are We There Yet too, so I guess this is considered a franchise, but yeah, I don't know, man. The first movie wasn't even that great to begin with, and this one definitely takes the cake on how not to make me want to come back to these movies, or anyone to want to come back to these movies anytime soon. So that is Are We Done Yet?
Good boy. His dog can sit, roll over, and speak.
Give the dog your food.
The crux of the comedy, ladies and gentlemen. This movie feels like a film that was made 10 years ago when Disney was making these god-awful live-action movies. This does not feel like a movie that was made when the studio was trying to get back on track, but lo and behold, this is exactly what we're in here for folks, and that is, of course, Jason Lee starring as the character of Underdog, who is played by a lemon beagle named Leo, and of course, this is a story about a hound named Shoeshine, from the cartoons, who gets superpowers after a lab accident. When he's adopted by a 15-year-old boy, the two form a bond around them and the shared knowledge that Shoeshine is really Underdog. this should not be a really complicated concept to do in general, but good lord, they just completely destroy that right from the get-go. I didn't even show you Underdog yet, but when Underdog is flying around in the trailers and in the movie, that dog does not look like he wants to be there at all. Like, it's like I remember when Spill.com did the original review for this, and, they made a joke about how the dog looked like he was being abused on set, like the dog is just trying to just take a rest, and all of a sudden he's got this fan in his face, like he doesn't want to be involved in this movie, and they did not do a good job of making that dog look convincing whatsoever. You got Amy Adams in here, too, and Brad Garrett doing voices, and the cast also includes Jim Belushi, John Slattery, Patrick Warburton, him and Peter Dinklage are easily the best thing in the movie. I mean, they're the ones who are at least trying to bring something to the table here. I mean, Peter Dinklage as Simon Bar Sinister is really, really good. That's top-notch stuff there. I mean, he's the only one who's going into this movie with the indication that this is what you're supposed to do with a movie like this. Everything else, it doesn't work in general, and this is definitely the worst of the two Jason Lee live-action animated hybrid films he did, because the next one he did would not only be the best of the two, but it'd be the more successful of the two, but that will wait until Christmas, until we delve into that one. But, yeah, this should not have been that difficult to really do, but they somehow did it, and like I said before, this literally does feel like a film that was made around the time when Disney was doing stupid stuff like, Meet the Deedles, Mr. Magoo, I'll Be Home for Christmas, My Favorite Martian, these terrible 90s live-action comedies. This feels like a film that should be in that area, but no, this was made in 2007, and yeah, it does not work at all, and it's such a shame, too, because there could be a good idea for a movie here. I mean, you could have done something like the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie, which I know a lot of people didn't like, but I found that movie great fun overall. I mean, that's a good, fun movie. That is pretty much what Rocky and Bullwinkle was all about. Even Dudley Do-Right, I think, does a better job of adapting the source material to live action than this movie does. And even that wasn't a great movie, but it certainly kicks the crap out of this. But, yeah, Underdog is not a great film overall, and, yeah, it's not really that much of a surprise, and it killed the career of director Frederick Duchow, who did Quest for Camelot and then Racing Stripes, which I thought Racing Stripes was actually a pretty good movie, but yeah, Underdog, not so much. He hasn't directed a film since then. I don't even think he's really done anything since then. Has he? Let me see. I don't think he has, but I did one movie, The Crostons. I have no idea what that is, but yeah, he hasn't really done much since then, and if anything at all, but yeah, that's Underdog for you. Bad film, just a missed opportunity on so many levels.
Age to be married.
You got your whole life ahead of you.
Do I?
There's a real possibility that you will die on this table.
I'll be right here.
Is it good to go?
Am I supposed to be asleep? I don't know if I can do this. I can still hear you.
In an hour, he'll be dead and we'll be rich.
Wait, what?
How do you fight for your life
They're trying to kill me.
when no one can hear you scream?
What's going on?
Everything's fine.
He's lying to you. No.
Awake. Rated R. Everywhere November 30th.
Such a good premise here. You have a guy who is going into open heart surgery, and they give him the anesthetic to shut him down while they're doing this, so there's no way that he can feel pain and all that. But you have this one guy who played by Christensen, who he has a failed anesthetic that leaves him completely alert but paralyzed and unable to tell his doctors. And then they ruin it by adding a conspiracy theory aspect to it. And yes, this is the thing that literally kills the movie right after a really good premise, because come on, a story about a guy who is going into surgery to have open heart surgery, and he's going in there and he's got this anesthetic, and then it fails on him, and the fact that he's still able to see and feel it without being conscious whatsoever. I mean, that's a horrifying thing to happen to you, and supposedly this happens in real life too. I don't know for certain because I've never had that happen before, but I will not be shocked at all if this actually does happen to a lot of people. And yeah, it is a very terrifying thing to think about, that you're supposed to get this anesthesia so you don't have to feel any of the pain whatsoever. And then you have this one guy here who is feeling this pain and can't do anything about it. And yeah, it's a good concept overall. It could have made for a really interesting engaging film overall. And Christensen's is doing the best he can with this performance overall. I think he's pretty good in here. But they have to ruin the film by adding the conspiracy theory aspect to it because, you know, his best friend is doing this, played by Terrence Howard, and he doesn't find out until they put the anesthesia on him that, you know, there are people who are trying to they're killing him because, you know, they think they can get a big payday out of it, and it just gets so convoluted and it gets so cluttered and messed up on so many levels where, like, the basic message of the movie is that do not trust anybody that you know, not even people in your immediate family, because they are all out to kill you. As this movie shows, literally everybody that this guy knows wants him dead. And not just Terrence Howard, but his wife, played by Jessica Alba, which, man, what a bad year this was for her. And this was really, after Dark Angel ended, there was just no hope for her in terms of a leading film actress anymore. After a year where you have Rise of the Silver Surfer, Good Luck Chuck, and now this, your career is pretty much over and done with. No one will take you seriously as a leading actress anymore. But, you know, his mother is killed his father back when he was a kid. Like, everybody in this person's life hates him in some way, shape, or form. And it's just like, what am I supposed to take away from this whole concept altogether? Like, what am I supposed to take away by adding this conspiracy theory aspect to it? I mean, it really is the thing that just pushes this movie off the deep end, and it just takes away anything that the intriguing premise had going for it, and it just falls apart immediately, and it just ruins what could have been a really good movie, a really intense thriller that could have been something on the level of something like, you know, a Jacob's Ladder, if you will. Like, go insane with it. Go over the top with some of these darker images that you could have in here. And no, they don't do that at all here. And because they went down this route, the film suffers big time. And yeah, like I said before, everybody in this movie just hates this guy because the only thing I can think of is that, you know, he's a young billionaire, you know. They want that money of his, and that's the only real explanation that you get from all of this. And it's just like, nothing about this makes any goddamn sense whatsoever. And it's just, I mean, it's just such a disastrous movie that takes a really good premise and just completely careens it once they throw in this aspect of, let's kill the guy while he's in here and take his money. Like, it's just, it hurts my brain just thinking about it all over again, because I was so pissed off when I saw that. And it's just like, you know, and there's a way you could do this where it could be very interesting. It could have some really good twists and turns, but they destroy that almost immediately. And like it's not even clever the way they do it. They literally just throw it in there, and it just takes away anything good that this thing could have had for it. And yeah, and then what we get is a film that properly deserves to be dumped on the weekend after Thanksgiving, because yeah, this is a film that would have never done well on a regular weekend in the box office. Now, this would have been a weekend. This is the right weekend to release it on, because this is a weekend when you usually dump wide releases out there. And yeah, this is a film that clearly was meant to be dumped onto theaters, and overall, yes, was not a good film at all, despite a strong premise that kept it from, you know, that could have made it something incredible, and it just wasn't there. And I was really, really let down by this movie big time, because of the direction it went with. Just such a good premise, and nothing of value whatsoever came out of it. It's a film that's it's just a film that takes this 360-degree turn and ruins any good hope that this film had whatsoever. One of the biggest disappointments I ever had when I saw this movie for the first time. I was really let down by it. A really bad movie. Avoid it like the plague, because, man, they took a great premise and just completely fucked it all up. What did I even say there? Fucked it all up. So
I'd like to propose a toast to Charlie for being my lucky charm.
Women call him.
Hear that, Charlie?
What Charlie? Good Luck Chuck.
Whoa. You're a lucky charm. You have sex with someone and then they find their true love. Isn't that how it works?
Has everybody lost their minds? That's ridiculous.
I guess you are a lucky charm.
Do you want to have sex before or after dinner?
Actually, I have dinner plans.
Buddy, you got the ticket to the big show.
You have 108 messages. Yeah, I don't do that with men. This is Molly, Danielle, Stacy.
This is Bob. Just hear me out. But now,
I'm Kim.
I'm Charlie.
Yes! Fess up about this charm. It's quite a scam you got going.
No, it's not me.
People will believe whatever they want to believe.
What seems like a blessing.
Kim's the one, man.
What makes you think I'll be kissing him, huh?
You all right? Oh.
Feels like a curse.
If you sleep with her, she's gonna marry the next guy she dates.
Hey, that's not true.
I started calling all your exes. They're married. It's real. I really hate you.
I gotta go. You look great. I had a good time. I gotta go.
To get the girl of his dreams, Chuck will do anything.
I've got to put the curse to the test.
With anyone.
Eleanor Skeppel. This chick ain't never getting married.
I actually thought that maybe we could get physical.
I'm gonna ride you till you die.
True love.
Now?
Not now. Wait till I get this.
Has never been so hard.
Come over.
I want to. I just don't think that we should.
Does your phone receive pictures?
Dane Cook, Jessica Alba. Good luck, Chuck.
What's sex without love?
Sex! It's still sex!
You like that obnoxious, loud comedy? I hope you do, because that's the majority of the film. In fact, that is the entire film. Everything about this movie was... I mean, I'll be honest, when I saw it at first, I didn't hate it. I thought it was actually okay, but yeah, as time has gone on and I haven't seen this movie in so many years, I realized that, yeah, everybody was right when they first saw this. This is about as bad as it gets. But it does have a good premise to it. You have this guy named Chuck, played by Dane Cook, who's a dentist, and, you know, he has sex with all these women, and then they find their one true love after having sex because when they were teenagers, they were kids, this one goth girl, they were like in a game of spin the bottle, 7 minutes in heaven, and because he refused to make out with her, she basically puts a hex on her, and, you know, it essentially gives every person that he ever has sex with, you know, a chance to find their true love with the next person that they meet. And so he meets this girl played by Jessica Alba, who is a clumsy person. And that trailer doesn't tell you that. I mean, the trailer makes it feel like that she's doing this knowing that she knows what the curse is. But no, she's a klutz. Like, she's a professional klutz overall and tries to become her true love. And he knows that if he has sex with her, you know, she's going to end up meeting he thinks she's going to end up meeting her one true love, and it's not going to be him. And there is a good idea here with this movie. There could be a lot done with this movie with a better director. If the Farrelly brothers were involved in this, I feel like they could have made a better movie. It's not like Dane Cook is bad in the movie. I mean, he's the one that's trying to push it together. And I mean, he's not terrible. It's just, the film itself is just loud and obnoxious and just cruel. I mean, this movie is just unbelievably bad on so many levels. You hate every single person in this movie. Dane Cook is the only one that comes out of this movie somewhat likable because he's stuck in this situation here. And he's stuck in this idea that he has no idea how to keep this one girl from moving on to somebody else. But then again, it doesn't help when he's surrounded by the most obnoxious people on the planet. Dan Fogler in this movie is so goddamn annoying. He is such a terrible supporting character and best friend because, yeah, he's not really much of a best friend in this movie. You know that big woman you see in the trailer there? Like, he does this whole thing where, you know, he goes out, he sleeps with her, and then there's a point where he has to wait to see what happens if she finds her one true love. And so he says to Dan Fogler, yeah, go ask her to marry her, go on a date with her, go ask her to marry her. And, you know, he tells her that she does it, that he does it with her. And then, you know, Dane Cook thinks it's okay to have sex with Jessica Alba. And then he gets a phone call from him later that night saying, oh, yeah, oh, by the way, I didn't do it. So I didn't do it. I never really did. I just did it so I could get you off my back. And it's just like, asshole. Complete asshole of a character. And it would be something if Jessica Alba was a likable person too, but no, you hate her too in this movie because of just how obnoxious she is, how clumsy she is. Like, yeah, I get it, she's a klutz and all that, but they just take everything to extremes in this movie. Everything that could be good about this movie is just thrown out the door because it's a film that is really just out there to be the most obnoxious, most loud, and over-the-top movie ever without being funny one bit. There's not one moment in this movie that I laughed at. like, even if you're going to see this for, like, it's an R-rated comedy, so you're going to get to see some boobs, because, some nudity and all that. Nope, don't even get, you get that, but even then, when you get it, it's just kind of like, wow, there's nothing about this that's worth it in the end. I mean, yeah, you've got boobs up on the screen, but, we have this thing called the internet. It was around in 2007, so this is the point of making this movie. Like, like I said, it's a good idea, but without a good director or a good writer to come in there and really make this film actually be worth it. I feel like a really good movie could be made with this if everybody that's in the movie isn't an obnoxious or loud or annoying person. And that's nearly everybody in this movie, that you feel so bad for Dane Cook because he's the sanest one of the entire group in this movie. And, to his credit, he was, like I said, he's not bad in the movie. Like, he's the one thing that he comes out of this movie relatively unscathed because he's the one that's the least obnoxious compared to everybody else in the movie. And this was a really good year for him in terms of movies where he actually gets to show what he can do as an actor. Mr. Brooks is a good movie with him really showing what he can do. And we'll get to another movie he's in later on in about a month's time now. But as far as this movie goes, man, this movie is so obnoxious. It's so annoying. It's unfunny. It is such a flabbergasting mess of a film where there's so much potential there, but without a really good writer and director to come in there and really show the true potential of this, you get this loud, obnoxious, annoying, unfunny movie. Avoid this movie like the plague. It is one of the worst comedies you'll ever see.
Last Christmas, a magical world beyond the wardrobe was brought to life. But some doors should never be reopened. From 2 of the 6 writers of Scary Movie.
I've had it with these X on this damn plane. I heard you. Now, can you please go get some braid or a knife or something?
Discover what it takes.
I'm so hot.
To survive an epic movie.
You're the future kings and queens of Narnia.
A talking beaver.
Beware of the wizards.
My name is Harry Potter.
Aren't you a little old to still be a student here?
Nonsense. I am but 14.
Play with Willie.
Look, a chocolate river. That's actually the sewer line.
Hit it off with the mutants.
We'll stand behind you.
And kick it
Welcome to my farm crib.
in Narnia.
Say what's up to the honeys. Yo, Diddy.
Take that.
This January,
We are the pirates of the Caribbean. Yes, the pirates of the Caribbean.
epic movie.
My son, you are truly invincible.
Oh my God, you shot my eye! Why would you do that?
We made this the #1 movie in the country. We made this a blockbuster hit. Why? Why did we do that? Why didn't we do the same thing to the good spoof movies? Why wasn't superhero movie, which was made by real people who know what they're doing with spoof movies, why wasn't that the big hit? Why wasn't Reno 911 Miami the big hit? No, we have to make this movie the big hit that it was. And like I said before, this isn't even a spoof movie. It's mostly just a reference movie of everything that's happened in the last year. Because literally, the plot is a parody of the epic film genre. And I put epic film in quotation marks because, you got the Chronicles of Narnia, that's an epic. Harry Potter's an epic. Pirates of the Caribbean, X-Men, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, those are epics. There's the references to the Da Vinci Code. You see in the trailer the Snakes on a Plane reference. You see Borat in there because he was popular. You could tell that this movie was made so goddamn quickly that nobody gave a crap of why this movie was called Epic Movie. They just had to make a movie referencing everything that happened in the last year and just Someone said, let's just come up with a title. I don't know, epic movie. Perfect, put it out there. It's so bad that even 20th Century Fox wanted nothing to do with it. You notice their logo nowhere on this trailer whatsoever. Like, you know it's bad when the studio that's putting this out is so ashamed of this movie that they're not even bothering to put their own studio logo attached to it. Like, that is how bad this movie is. Like, when a studio is so disappointed with the result that they have here that they don't even want their own studio logo attached to it, you know you're in for a really bad movie. And this is a really bad movie. Date Movie at least had some brief flashes of promise to it. There were some funny moments here and there in Date Movie. Not enough to make the movie watchable. Even in something like an epic, in this movie here, there was one moment that did make me laugh, and that was the scene with the Superman parody, with the guy getting shot in the eye, with the Superman character in here getting shot in the eye. Like, that was funny. That's one joke out of millions of other, not even jokes, but like I said, references. They reference stuff that's been popular the last year. Like, you see P. Diddy in there. You see MTV Cribs. They make pointless references to Star Wars. They even have Star Wars, they have the, I can't even remember who they are now. Stormtroopers. I should know this. I know Star Wars so much. They have stormtroopers in this movie for no reason. You know, they make references to Paris Hilton. What makes Paris Hilton part of an epic movie? Nothing. Like, nothing about this movie makes any sense whatsoever. The jokes are not funny. Nacho Libre gets mentioned in here for no reason except for the fact that it was one of the most notable movies that came out last year. So, throw it in there. Like, that's what this movie is. Not even a parody film, not even a spoof film, just a reference film. This is the type of film that the directors look at this and go, hey, remember this? Remember this? Remember this from the past year? Remember this from the past year? Who cares if it actually doesn't amount to anything funny in general, but you remember it. It was in your life for the past year, so thank you for your money. That's literally what the movie is. Nothing about this movie works on any level whatsoever. It's not clever. It's not funny. It wastes some really good talent in here. Like, Fred Willard's in here again. So is Jennifer Coolidge. Why are they in here? Like, why do they keep wasting their talents on these movies? Like, just, it's such a disastrous movie, man. Like, and not even the disaster movie that they literally called disaster movie that came out not but 2 years afterwards. Well, not even that, a year and a half after this movie did. But I'm just rambling on here. I mean, bottom line, the movie sucks. This movie really, really sucks. This is not funny. It's not clever. The references are completely idiotic and stupid. The jokes are not funny. Just avoid it like the plague. It's one of the worst movies ever made. And just when you think it can't get any worse from these two guys, we still got a long way to go. But, yeah. What more did you expect me to say? It's epic movie, for God's sake.